The grass is never greener on the other side. Just water your one. Thank God for what you've got. Thank God for what you don't have that you could have that could make things worse. I have learned to speak up these days. This morning, someone met my children at the park, and they've only got two children. They've only got two children, neurotypical school-age children, who can both go off to school, typical school, no challenges, no disorders, no behavioral issues, just normal old life. And she says to me, mother of 6 children, that I'm lucky because at least I've got the teens to help me. All right, if let's pretend it was going to be one-on-one care, there are still 4 children and 2 teenagers. I still have to mother the other 2. If let's say each child was going to take care and to mother 1 child each, there are still 2 other children who need me, and 2 other children who need me and have extremely significant needs, extreme behavior, extreme and intense supervision. You can't relax. You can't. So I thought, firstly, I never compare my life to anybody else's because I don't know the problems they're undergoing. When I went to university and I started going to our church, there would be whispers, oh, so-and-so is rich, so-and-so must be so happy. You know, it was like, okay, so-and-so is rich. Look at the car he buys. He's so rich. They've got such a nice family and they've only got 1 child. So they must have so much extra money to do what they want to do, blah, blah, blah. As someone who underwent infertility and then secondary infertility, well, maybe tertiary, I know the pain of perhaps having 1 child, but not only wanting to have 1 child. It's a lonely existence having no sibling, no one to talk to. Okay, well, granted, I loved my books, so it didn't matter. It wouldn't have mattered to me whether I had a sibling or not. But when I grew up, if my sibling had been a proper sibling in the head, like a good thinker, wise, and all of that, it would have been so much better to have a second person to share the worries of parenting my parents, to share the worries of caring for them when now they are too old and need caregivers themselves. Being an only child is not lovely per se. It's not wonderful. It's not any better than not being an only child. And what if those people are going through secondary infertility and only having 1 child was actually a source of pain to them? They wanted to have a bigger family, perhaps. They wanted to have a sibling for their sister, but year after year for the little girl, year after year passed by, no baby. And what if the wife had been having losses, stillbirths, miscarriages? We wouldn't know. We wouldn't know what loss they've undergone. Or what if they'd had a child before they moved to our church, an older child who'd passed away, or even a younger child who'd passed away. There are so many backstories to why people have 1 child. Yes, some people do have 1 child by choice. Then they're happy. But we can't assume that they're happy because they only have 1 child. Secondly, for all the riches you can have, it doesn't reduce the stress and how stressful life can be. It doesn't make sorrow lighter because you've got more money. It doesn't make grief easier when you've got more money. If you've just lost your mother and she was the best if you've just lost your mother and she was the best friend you could ever have, you're grieving. You can live in a hovel or live in a rich house, in a big palace, mansion. You are still grieving the same. And 2 or 3 years later, after I got to know them, we were in and out the country. I heard that the wife had been looking for me because they were getting a divorce. She wanted, I don't know what she wanted from me. I didn't feel like I could have given her anything. I was newlywed. She was older than me, so I thought, I don't know, maybe she was actually not. And yeah, and they did separate. I don't know if they did divorce officially, but they did. So now that 1 child had 2 families, 2 homes to go to. It's never as beautiful as it looks from the outside. Just because people are married doesn't mean they're happily married. Just because people are with their wives at church doesn't mean they're with their wives in their heart, in thought, in deed, when they're not at church. Even when they're at church, they could still be thinking about someone else. Not that I'm saying he was unfaithful. I don't know what happened. But if you're the one who's unfaithful, you're not going to go look for someone who's a bastion of be faithful to talk to her. So, yeah, I'm just reading between the lines. And that goes for everything. I never look at someone else's life and think, oh, it's so easy. I do wish mine was easier. I do wish mine could be easy in terms of I wish mine was less chaotic. I'm not saying I wish my life was like Yulana's. Her life is so much better. I just wish mine could be better as well. I wish I could have not had AS. I'm not thinking, oh, I wish I could be like Sonwabo and not have AS. I just wish I didn't have AS. And I'm not going to say to Sonwabo, oh, you're so much better. Your life is so much better. Or you're so lucky because at least you get to go to the park and you're not in pain. I don't. Sorry. I'm trying to imagine what my friends would think if I said that to them. It's so not me. Maybe it's a personality thing, but I don't like it. I feel like it's got some kind of a moral. It's saying something. And it's not saying something positive. It's a kind of a woe is me attitude. I'm coveting your life. Be grateful for what you have. And if you are praying for God to reduce a strain, just pray for the strain to be reduced. Don't compare yourself to someone else. That becomes a sense of, it reminds me of a sense of covetousness. I wish I could have what she has. She's got it easy. Just pray for your burden to be lifted and carried. All right. So yes, she only has 2 children. They're both quite neurotypical. I've got children and I've got a teenager who's got a diagnosis. And that diagnosis is, you can't ignore it if you live with the child. Out of respect for them, I'm not telling you, but my close friends know how it's not that easy. I might have 2 teenagers, but I don't have 2 typical teenagers. We all know teenagers can't reason well anyway. We know their brains are still forming. So there is that. And now you know that one is finding it harder to reason. You can't send them to go and look for something because they'll come. There are 4 items. Like, literally, I'm sitting there one day trying to rest and they ask for a big textbook of theirs. I put it with some books, the other children's school books, on the corner of the TV stand, and I say it's over there. Rifles through, no, it's not here. They go. I stand up painfully. I go to the corner, and the book was there after all. And it's not like a thin little, small little brochure. It's a proper textbook. That's what they're like. That's how everything that they're involved in is like. If they wash dishes badly, or they don't put them away, or they don't wash the dishes at all, or they don't clean the counter. So for her to say, you're lucky, you have 2 teenagers to help, the help is not as helpful as it could be. And there are some things that are actually worse, because I then also have to leap in and do what the teenager could do. Executive processing, yeah. So no, it's not actually that easy. And secondly, mommies will always be the mommy. You know what? No, I've never seen a video where the child says, oh, I'm going to ignore mom and go to my older sibling. It's always mommy. I laughed at the irony. My son Micaiah, he says to his sister Nene, you really must stop. You're always calling mom. And I'm thinking, if only he knew. He says mom. And when he says mom, at least she's asking for something I can give her. But our interaction is going to be subpar. It's going to be abnormal. I'm going to end up banging my head. I've said it before, how our interaction is just, it leaves me drained. Every time he says mom, I know that I will lose a bit of my patience. But it is hard. It is hard. Like a mother who has to change her 21-year-old's diaper. It's not the 21-year-old's fault, but it is hard. And it will ever be hard. She won't get used to it. In fact, as she gets older, it will be harder. Emotionally, mentally, and physically. So he will call me and say something like, Mom, why is the burger not a hot dog. I don't even know what you're asking me. Those are two different things. Like saying, why am I not male, or why am I not daddy? I don't know what he means. I don't think he knows what he means. Those are the kinds of mom, mom, mom. So even if I had 20 teenagers in my family, it would always be mom, which is good because that means I am mom. Even though I feel like I'm not a good enough mom, I'm mom. But I am not having it any easier than anyone else. And therefore, 4 young, out of control children. Out of control. Just this morning, I took this photo with my daughter's permission. She had jumped down. They need to be reminded to bath. They need to be reminded, especially my girl, to get undressed. She needs to be reminded to take her towel. She needs to be reminded to go into the bathroom. She needs to be reminded to turn on the tap. She needs to be reminded to take her soap. So I was, like, it's not that easy, woman. Well, that's where I was going. That I told her some of this. I told her that, well, the grass is not actually that green on this side where I am. And I reminded her that, and I'm doing all this with a body that is crumbling. I'm doing all this with my doctor who told me I shouldn't be doing all this at all. I'm still mom. And I'm still mom who has to be on Superman level. And without sleep, because both my girls don't sleep. So I'm running on fumes. I've got the chronic fatigue. And I've got many children who need lots of love. But, everyone is so different and everyone is so challenged. I told her it's easy. It's easy when it's just 2 who are neurotypical. You just get a curriculum and you teach. But now when they can't do things that they should be able to do, when they can't read and the syllabus expects that they can read, and you have to be immersed in the teaching. You know how the teacher is to wander around while you work? That doesn't happen for me. I have to be right there, bending over, looking at the book, kneeling down, correcting, or reminding that, wait, this says circle. Why are you underlining? That is my life. And no teenager is the teacher. I am the teacher. I'm the homeschooling parent, not the teenagers. The teenagers are doing their own things. They're learning their own things too. So, I wanted to say it's been good, but it's been bad. I won't lie. The bad things I commented about last week, the bad things that is active, progressing, ankylosing spondylitis, but they continue. My nights are still bad. I feel like it's probably reflux, but also sinusitis. I'm not sure if the aeroplane trip messed me up or I would be messed up anyway. But yes, I am feeling it. I'm feeling it. So for the AS, the next step will be for me in 2 weeks' time to contact them if I'm not great. I'm still bad. And then I will go into hospital, just a day visit, to have what I think of as high dose prednisone. It's IV solumedrol. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. That's what they emailed and told me when I told them I can't do this anymore. So they will do the drip and hopefully it will make a difference. I'm not sure how long it lasts. I don't know if you can do it more than once. And I'm hoping Cosentix will work. But do you remember a video I did on psoriasis and how my rheumatologist said that, well, if it's psoriasis, then the biologic that works will work and take it away? Do you remember how the psoriasis had gone away? Well, now it's back. 3 injections of the second biologic and it's back. And my body is also struggling. I felt so bad. I feel self-conscious limping around the shop. I already look different in terms of how I'm dressed. People comment on it, so I know I am different. If you have so many people saying, oh, why are you dressed like that? Or wow, you're dressed with such dignity. Or wow, you look beautiful in dresses. I know people are looking at my dressing because it's different. Now here I am limping and I feel as if all eyes are on me when they're probably not. And if they are, they'll probably pity me. But I don't want pity. There was a missionary, a female missionary, when we went to Tanzania, who had a significant limp. I'm not sure if her hip was out of joint or her leg was shorter than the other, but I feel like her leg was shorter than the other. Her limp was bad, and I felt sorry for her. To me, it felt like every step must be so painful. But I never said anything to her. I never asked her, can you tell me why you walk the way you do? I felt it would be too intrusive. But I would rather actually be asked. I would rather people knew about AS. But, we're different. We are different. And I want to apologize to you if you lost a father, a mother, and I never cared or checked on you. It's not because I didn't care. It's because I was scared to be intrusive. I've done it with close friends who we share everything, and she's also close to me and checks on me, so I do. But if you're one of those who's on the periphery and have not been as mindful of other aspects of your life, I do apologize. It's probably because I don't know what to say or how to say it without sounding like I'm saying, yes, here it is. The reason is I grew up being told all the flaws about me. My forehead, my lips, my skin, my looks, my looking like a boy, looking ugly, thin legs, and all of that. So I feel like every time I'm out, there's already this red light. Ugly woman coming across, ugly person. And I don't want to make someone else feel that way. That is why I won't ask someone who's got a physical problem what's up, except for one woman who had a hunch, and I was wondering if they've got AS, and I was going to ask them how they're handling it and I did ask, how do they sleep, etc. Is it sore? Is it that? And so I don't like looking sick. I don't like that I can't control the walking. I don't like limping. I don't like walking weird, but I do. So that's where we are with AS. It's still getting worse. My nights are still bad because of it and the twins not sleeping. As my 4-year-old who talks a lot said this week, I wake up too much. She does. I told her, I agree, you do. What could I do? She was happy, so chirpy, so talkative. I was so tired. I wish my energy could match theirs, but it doesn't, and it catches up to you. So yes, our sleep issues are still there. We were meant to have an appointment with the doctor today for a diagnosis, an assessment, but they postponed, so we'll only do it on Monday. And then in the afternoon she has an OT appointment, which I thought I would go to, but the Monday hour appointment will have killed me, so I won't be able to go to OT. So I'll meet the occupational therapist another time. But the nice thing is, the one therapist who saw my son, she sent me a link to a website, to an app thing of theirs, where I could see what my son did that session. It was an assessment. So there was a picture of the books that she used, whatever test, and the puzzle that you had to complete, which is better than all the other places where I've not been inside. I get to know what they were doing instead of just hearing it secondhand from children who don't know how to elaborate, from children who don't know how to tell a story, who I'm still working with on building sentences when you're speaking, how to answer a question. So having them narrate what they did, it doesn't they don't do it very well. They don't. So yeah, that's how it is. I found an occupational therapy practice where Nene, my talking 4-year-old, super talker, and Amy and Mickey are going every 2 weeks. We've gone back to vision therapy also every 2 weeks. We've got a plan for the AS. I'm not sure what the long-term plan is. The doctor asked if I can just please wait for one more injection. So I told him, no, I wasn't asking if we can change, because it's only been 3 months. Yes, every hour hurts. But even I was willing to wait, even because they said 1 month. I said I can even give it 2 or 3 months, not only because I want to be able to be sure that I did give it enough time. I've seen people who had only started working at 6 months. Others had worked at 3 and then stopped at 6 months. Oh my. But yes, I do want to give it 6 months. Though I don't want to be disabled, getting disabled within those 6 months. It's the balance is scary, because you lose that disability. When you're disabled, you don't get undisabled or less disabled when you finally find a treatment that works. But you don't want to rush to get off it. Maybe your body needed time. So I said, no, I'm fine. I'm really fine with waiting even more than a month, because I want to see it. I want to give it a real chance. And secondly, medical aid. Medical aid will not be in a rush to help pay if I haven't at least given it a chance, a long enough chance for them, a long enough chance in their eyes, who don't know what it's like to have an autoimmune disease. There's an article that my husband sent me from our newspaper, online newspaper, Business Live. I don't know if they've got a print one, but it's a serious paper. It's not like Daily Mail. And they mentioned there how the Council of Medical Schemes is not being fair to patients about, guess what? Autoimmune diseases. They don't have one standard of care. They don't have one plan, okay, you do this, you apply. So they're saying, as they were writing, that people have to waste 7-8 months applying, reapplying, appealing, and yet they will eventually be given the medication. So why can't they just say, if a doctor has provided this that we need, then we will help fund the medication? And that's what I was asking that woman, that what do you mean we haven't met the requirements? What are the requirements? There are no requirements. That was the essence of the article. But if there's no requirement, what are patients meant to do? And the medical aids say no. We're only required to give you treatment that is also available through the government hospital system, which then is not fair, because the government hospital system doesn't treat AS, and I'm sure there are other diseases it doesn't treat as well. They definitely don't give you biologics, definitely not. So what they're really saying is, we're not any better. We might be private, but we don't want to give you better than what you would get in a government setting. So really what you're really paying for is a better hospital, not better medical treatment. So yes, people are battling out there. It's not just me. We're all battling. Onto the positive. No, not onto the positive. Onto the magical moments. I did a nature story on trees, and it happened to be on deciduous trees versus evergreens, which happened to be what my 4-year-old's science lesson had been on. So she kind of knew already deciduous versus evergreen. We'd gone out, we'd looked at bark and all of that, and then we did that's what happened to be in the Bible storybook for the nature lesson. So I taught it again, trees, deciduous, and I went out and I took video of the different trees, and I used this bush, and I said that this bush is like a deciduous tree in that, see, now it's winter, there's nothing, it's bare, naked, nothing on it, but in spring, life will spring forth. Pardon the pun. Last Saturday, my girl pulled me, mommy, come see. And she's not usually physically demonstrative. She's actually not. She likes to talk. She likes to sit on me, but she's not a hugger, kisser. She's not. So it was cool for her to actually take my hand and want to be held, or want to hold me and lead me to the tree. And she was so excited because the tree was no longer naked, and what it was growing on it was beautiful. Seeing the world through a child's eyes is the most amazing privilege. It really is. So that I enjoyed that. Before I move on to the little video about the tree branch bush, I don't know, I call it a branch bush, I also wanted to mention something else that I know I forgot to mention originally in this video. Sensory profile. Marissa, my 9-year-old, the low registration thing, I've mentioned it before, when she had that awful infection in her leg, the fact that she doesn't feel, I felt so bad for her. She has shoes, and then they wear out, and I buy her another pair. She damages them, I buy her another pair. And she's been size 1, maybe 2 months now. I've been buying size 1 shoes because she went up from size 13. But then the slippers I bought her last week tore the very same day she was wearing them. And I thought, okay, my son's also tore at the same place, so maybe it's the
the shop itself, the quality of the sewing. But I thought, let me just buy her a size 2 slipper. And before this, we've always asked her, are your shoes comfortable? Are your shoes comfortable? And she's always said, yes, I don't feel anything. But that's the thing. She doesn't feel anything until it's extremely extreme. But she doesn't register normal discomfort, normal pain. So I got the size 2 slippers. She put them on. And wouldn't you know it, I felt where her foot ends in the slipper because I was worried that the size 2 might be too big. And the size 2 slipper was perfect. Like well fitting. There wasn't even much space between her toe and the actual end of the slipper. And it made me wonder if she had done it again. She's done it before last year, where she said she's fine, but when you feel her toes actually curled up because there's no space in the shoe. And with everything else that goes on in my family, in my house, in my brain, I just never thought to actually check. I took it at her word that she's comfortable and let's move on to size 1, not realizing she actually needed to move up 2 shoe sizes. I mention this because too many people, when I tell them, well, she can't feel pain, they think it's a good thing. Or she can't feel unless it's something extreme, even emotions. It's not a good thing. It's really not a good thing when it comes to things like this. Infections, wrong size shoes. My poor child. My angel, who doesn't talk much, she can't actually climb up the ladder of this jungle gym. You need to push her up. So if I ever do find someone to be my au pair, she's really going to need to be strong physically because she needs to lift her up as she climbs up the ladder to play and go slide, and also just for changing her diaper. That killed me. I had no choice. There was no one around. It was just me and her. Let's keep hoping we find someone perfect.
We're still being pulled. She's still being violent. Sometimes it's actually just silly. And you laugh. Because I was sitting, so she's my height. I was doing her sister's hair. And then she was playing with the hairspray. So I said to her, please can you give me the hairspray? She went ballistic. How dare I do that? So she started trying to hit me, and then she was trying to strangle me, but she was trying to strangle my head, which, you can't really strangle someone's skull. So she was sitting there with her hands around me. Probably, I know it looked worse than it felt because her brother and sister were telling her, no, Righty, no, you must be gentle, And I was thinking, well, I can't actually feel anything. It's just like a big hug on my head. And then she was trying to mush my hair all over my face. She got angry. But by the end of the day, after lots of pulling back and forth, and Mom, you must give me this whole bowl of this and this whole bowl of that, and I don't want you to dish out, I want the entire thing, or I'm gonna pull you to this. Well, you know what, where she pulls me, and how sometimes there's no rhyme or reason. In the evening, I had to cut her fingernails. It's torture for both girls. They cannot handle fingernails and hair. I'm coming to the hair. But she stood there for me. I cut her nails. It was a bit painful bending over, so I knelt down. I finished cutting her nails, all her nails, in one sitting or standing. And I said to her, well done, my angel. I gave her a hug, and she just returned the hug and kept holding on. I couldn't see her face, but her sister told me she's smiling so much. She's so happy. I love it when they're happy. When they're happy, they are so happy. And it's a thing of beauty. I wish we could just have 90% happy and maybe only 10% miserable. That's how life goes. I'm still praying for that. So yes, there's the nails. She managed. Her sister said, nope, I did one nail. And she said, oh no. She flinches. She shudders when something is the nail clipper or hair. Both of them are very tender-headed, and they are just very sensitive. Their heads, yes, the twins, but also Amarissa, my 9-year-old. It was time to tighten their hair. Let me segue into hair. I might as well put it together with this. Hair. I love our black hair. And versatile. Our hair is versatile. People can cornrow their hair, people can plait their hair, people can blow it out, people can just leave it as a beautiful afro. You can have a beautiful short afro, you can have a beautiful long afro, you can twist it. Our hair is beautifully versatile, and it's beautiful in its variety. My daughter Amarissa has 3B, 3C type hair. It's loose for locking. Her 4-year-old sister, who at least does allow me to touch her hair, is also very sensitive, so I did bigger locks. All of them I did the latching method, which I've shown before in another hair video. But they are feeling more and more pain the older they get, and the more anxious they become before a hair tightening. So I said to Amarissa, fine, Amy, how about I then change onto traditional locks, which is the twisting method. I am not going to use wax, no gels, nothing that causes heavy build up. Just oil and spray. I've seen it. I mean, if I could learn on YouTube how to do interlocking, I can learn, and I did learn how to do twisting. So I did. And then she said, oh, but this takes longer now than the locking method. I didn't like it because her texture is so loose that it will come undone, untwisted. It will come undone. It will slip. That's what they call it, lock slippage. When it just isn't locked, it won't stay in the lock for as long as it would when you interlock. So I didn't like it. But because of her extreme anxiety, I mean, my girl, my 4-year-old, I began with her. I sprayed her. It was wet, but she was like leaning back and starting to cry with just one lock. So that's why I said, fine, I'll twist both your hairs from now on. But Amarissa then said, no, this is taking too long. It's irritating me. Balancing sensory issues with the exuberance that is ADHD. And it's not like I do it all day. I do it only when she's at the table eating. So she's already occupied with something else anyway, but it irritates her. So I'm not sure what we're doing with hair. I've actually offered both girls, can we just cut your hair? Can you just shave your hair? And they said, no, we don't want to be like Rio, the one who can't handle you handling her hair at all. They don't want to be like her. They want long hair, but they don't want it to be manipulated in any way. Wow. So we started the week sure that I'm doing twisting. Now I'm back to bodkin, but bodkin is hurting her. So she says, with the interlocking, I can't win. I don't know what to do. That is my life. There's nothing easy about it. Teenagers don't change that aspect, do they? That's just an aside. So I love our hair. I love how, because we have different textures and because we have different methods, now specifically speaking of locking, how our locks look different. For me, there's no ugly. Okay, I do believe freeform locks. That freeform locks are not for me. Those are the types where you don't do anything at all. You don't shape it in any way, and it just grows out your head, and it like maybe has 5 locks over here, and then everything is just a huge mat with the locks hanging at the end. That, I don't like those. I don't like them. I'm too OCD for that. I need order. But neither do I go as far as the people who do proper straight lines all across and proper grid pattern. I don't do that. I just take, plait, and because I began with braid locks, so I plait, braid, 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 braid. I haven't done any gridding for anybody. It's just hair. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be healthy and as neat as it can be. Neatness. When you have autism, neat is different. It means something different. It doesn't exist. My girl who wants to be Pharaoh often, who still wants to be Pharaoh and hates it when we say no, because that Pharaoh thing was eating away at her hair, the rubber, whatever it is over here. So I only let her be Pharaoh on certain days and when she goes to the store. So where was I going now with that? Texture? I don't know. Anyway, so her locks are thicker. Her sister's locks are thick because Amarissa's hair is thick. The 3C girl, her hair is thick, her locks are thick. My 4B girl is actually quite thin. Her hair is thin. So even though her locks are thicker than mine, it's all quite flat. Oh yes, I was talking about neatness. You can't even you can't style it like this and just put clips in. She doesn't want them. She'll get them off. She doesn't want you to put hairbands in. She doesn't want headbands. She wants you to do nothing. Pardon?
Something I have to buy some.
Must you buy some more?
Yes.
Why? What is gonna happen to this one?
Gone.
It's gonna be gone.
Mommy.
Yes.
We buy more.
I don't know. I'm hoping she won't. I hope she won't eat it, Nene. So don't laugh, Marissa. It's not funny. Insect. Yes, it does. Tofu. This is tofu. Can you say tofu, Rio? It's unseasoned. Completely unseasoned.
It's even raw.
Yeah, I used to make mousse with raw tofu long ago when I was still stronger.
Oh.
Yeah, raw tofu is
Fine. All of that.
it's all good.
Sure.
Good, you eating your cereal, Nene? And I often laugh because I know so many Black Americans or African Americans are obsessed with perfection. Hair must look a certain way. Why didn't they style Blue Ivy's hair? I won't forget that. I was traumatized on behalf of the poor child. She was so small. I saw nothing wrong with her hair. It's just a little baby who needs to be fed and nurtured. But everybody was on her case, okay, not everybody, about her hair not being done. Or when a mom shows her child and the child is doing something cute, why haven't they styled their child's hair? Why have they just left it like that? African American mothers, more than any other Black mother I know, are obsessed with styling children's hair. We are the opposite. I'm just wanting my children to have manageable hair. So, though it irritates me and bothers me when my child's hair is hanging in her face, it doesn't bother her. She's autistic. She has ADHD. She probably has PDA at the very least. She's aggressive. She's angry. She gets hurt. She's anxious. She wants to cry. I'll leave her in peace. That's the story on hair. I'm thankful for the hair that we have. I'm thankful for the variety. I'm thankful that we don't have to all look the same. And I'm thankful for my own heritage. It took a few years. Well, okay, by the time I was an adult, I was fine with it. But my formative years were spent hating my texture. Now I love it. And I love it on other people. Like these locks, traditional locks that my friend has. All locks, beautiful locks. They're all beautiful to me, except for the freeform locks. So yes, we've discussed. Oh, adoption is the last one. My daughter asked me, Mom, were you also adopted? So I said, before I could say no, her brother says, no, she wasn't. She was born. Oh, my children are just, and we've discussed adoption. We've discussed coming from someone else's tummy. They've seen me pregnant. They know that someone else was pregnant, but my son doesn't get it. I don't even know if he knows what born really means. So when we say Jesus was born, I don't know what if he understands what it means. So yes, we discussed that. No, I'm not adopted. So my girl, even though she has known for ages, since the beginning that she's adopted, even though she has asked me questions, it's like they don't settle in her head. Facts don't settle. She forgets that she went to foster care straight from birth and assumes she was with her birth mother, then gets surprised when I remind her. And she says, oh, I thought she kept me for a while before she placed me for adoption. Okay, she didn't use those words. She said before she gave me for adoption. She forgets. So now it's dawning on her. I don't know how many times it will dawn again, but it's dawning on her that adoption isn't the norm. So she asked if she would have been teased at school for being adopted. So I told her no, not really. It's not really a teasing matter anyway. But what I have seen amongst my friends is that they, with their white skin, with their Black children, adoptees, there's a problem. The children ask the child, like one of my friend's sons, little boy, was asked, but who are those people? And he says, my mom and dad. No, those are not, that can't be a mom and dad. Where's a real family? That phrasing is harsh. It's almost like they're saying, these people stole you. You belong to other people. Real parents is a phrase I've never liked. I don't like it because for me, parenting is not just giving birth, not donating sperm. Parenting is actually doing the heavy work of parenting. Physically, mentally, verbally, teaching your child, raising your child, paying for your child. That's parenting. So step parent can actually also be a real parent. In my eyes, if you love the child and you've raised them and they're yours, you are a real parent. You're their real parent. So I wouldn't even, only for maybe expressing something, would I say my stepmom. If I had a stepmom, I would just say my mom. And they were both alive, obviously. If they're both alive, then of course I'll have to differentiate. But yes, that's what they ask. Where's your real family? You don't belong to them. So he comes back and he's sad that he doesn't look like his mom, and everyone knows that he's adopted and no one else in class is adopted. That is tough. It is tough. And my friend has often wished that she could have skin like her daughter. Her daughter wishes she could have hair like her mom's. So those are things that are hard to handle as an adoptee, but they only come if you're a transracial adoptee. Then it's where's a real parent? Why don't you look like your parent? And why are you kissing her? She's not your real mom. That's gross. That's what has been said to some of my friends' children. So I told her, no, you wouldn't suffer like that. You wouldn't. And not all schools have children like that. Not all children hear such questions, but it would be more likely if we were of different races. And that's sad. But I wanted to end on a happy note. Enjoy my little life, my hugs, the things we do, the love my daughter has for her siblings. She might be difficult to teach. She might do her own things, add on things that she shouldn't add. She might be very self-confident and forget that she's the pupil, I'm the teacher. So I will say, okay, tell me this number when I'm pointing, and then she'll go grab a pen and also point, Mom, you tell me these numbers.
44, 43, 42, 41. You're going backwards. Oh, thank you. All right.
So it's fun, but sometimes tiring and draining, especially when you want to go and get, free and rest. But yeah, I like her spirit. I like all my children's spirit. They're all different. They all have strengths and weaknesses, just like you and I all have strengths and weaknesses. And I still have not yet, I don't have a favorite yet. I love them all. Each of them, when I think of them, I have tender thoughts towards all of them equally. So yes, you can have children and not have a favorite. I think that's the best way, isn't it? Enjoy these little moments. And I hope you have a good week. If you're unwell, I don't actually know what to hope for there. But may our prayers be answered somehow.
You're also taking a picture.
Yes.
Who called me to tell me about these flowers? Who called me?
Look,
Did you call me?
Yeah.
Yes.
They look fastly.
Yes, they've grown very fast. They are beautiful. Tiny, small flowers. I mean, is this in the tree one? Did I mention it being bare in the tree video?
Yes.
Good.
See, and Effie, if the flowers can be big.
We'll see how they keep growing. Maybe they'll stay small.
They can also grow bigger.
They also grow bigger.
Look at the flowers. Auntie,
What do you hear?
a frog.
Mm-hmm.
See, I took a picture.
And inside, it's beautiful.
Oh, I'm seeing it.
Say that again, Emmy.
That's actually.
Yes, this bush has got flowers on it too. Well done, girls. Yes.
And look at this one.
Yes, this one.
And also this way.
Did it have flowers in winter?
No.
No.
And also this way.
Must I come that side?
Yes, and also this way.
Okay, I'm coming.
Yes, this way.
Wow, there are more on this side.
Yeah. And they're almost small. They're small.
They're very small. They are small.
What are sharp knives?
Must you touch sharp knives?
No.
No.
You are being cut.
They can cut you. Oh, it's not safe.
And it wasn't cut. You
As you know, I record almost every lesson for her, especially, seeing as she just can't sit down and concentrate and listen if I am reading to her or teaching her directly. So they had just watched a nature video about mushrooms and how there's some mushrooms that are dangerous. It's in my playlist. It's on my channel. There are mushrooms that are dangerous, poisonous, and your parents don't want you to touch it. And I also likened it to how your parents don't want you to touch sharp knives. So that's where her question was. It's always like that, where she'll see something or talk about something, and then she'll bring up something she has watched. It's cute. It's cool. It's called Cookie. Did you make cookies for everybody? Wow, that's so kind.
and mommy, and there you go.
My cookie also. Oh, thank you so much. It's delicious.
It's yummy.
It's yummy, you agree?
It's a sweet one.
It's a very sweet one. You put maple syrup in?
Pardon?
Did you put maple syrup in to make it nice and sweet?
Yes.
Good job.
It's very like a world we live in there.
Oh, it's like a world, eh? Do you have cookies? And again, we're sharing them like you were sharing yesterday.
Yesterday she came
What was she sharing yesterday?
pieces of playdough, which was what she was pretending it was cookies.
Yes.
Cookies to eat. Thank you. Hello, friends.
Nelo,
Yes.
do you want me to tighten your hair? To tidy your hair?
No.
Do you want me to put it in a bow? Headband? No, you want it hanging in your face. Is that true? Melo,
Yes.
do you want me to leave your hair like that? Our girl has been on a trip where she'll have her food served, but she doesn't want it. Similar to the grape thing last week, where she was taking grapes and wanting the whole container of grapes, putting them all together. If you have 3 cartons of grapes, she wants them all emptied. And that's what she does. She doesn't want to eat what you've given. She'll have maybe 2 spoons and then wander around, usually pulling me to go and have more of something different. A whole bowl of it, like you saw with the tofu. And what else? When she's angry and I won't let her take something else, she a few days, not every day, but for a few days this week, she'll then go to the freezer and pull someone and get them to take out all the ice lollies. So here she began by just putting them randomly, and then you'll see in a later picture, she decided, oh, let me organize these according to color. Let me arrange them according to color. I'm sharing this one because it was a glimpse of our school and how my girl will just do her own thing. So they were learning how to read the numbers, and she decided she wanted to write the number 8. The small one in the corner, the funny one, is her first attempt. I wanted to show her. She wouldn't watch at first, and then I took her hand and guided her into forming a few 8s with my help. The top row of the 2 of her own and my 8s, the top left was the second attempt. Second one was the first attempt, so she's going right to left. And yeah, she did an 8, and then she thought, the sizing isn't correct, and she did a so-called better one, if you want. And I love how my son looked at it later and said, and I still can't write. Do they look like real plants? Do they go green? They're not green. They don't have leaves. Buzz, buzz, bee. Buzz, buzz, bee. Flower to flower. Getting some nectar that's in your own garden. God is making. The bees are working in God's garden right here.
Our beach.
You're making a pie.
Yeah, Annie.
Oh, Annie's making a pie.
And also me too.
And you too.
I'm also making a pie too.
Okay, so you make.
Because the other baby were hungry.
Oh, you're both hungry.
Yeah, so I can make it.
Yes, then you don't have to wait and be hungry. You can just make your own food.
And people cannot make it.
People cannot make it.
Yeah.
Only Amy and Nene can.
Yeah, I can make it. I want to like that. What's this for?
No, it's just don't stretch that. What was the question? Hanging on the wood. Hanging on a hanger. Happy. I will end on a high note. My children used to go to a particular park nearby where there's a woman who sometimes brought her dogs. But she hadn't been around because her dogs had had surgery. Well, one of the dogs had had surgery, and she assumed that my children were still going there. And they enjoyed playing with her dog. There were 1 or 2 times they played with the dogs, but she wasn't there. She hadn't been there, so she thought, okay, let me go and check on them at their house. I don't know how she knew where we lived, but she came. The doorbell rang. My son went out to open, my oldest son, and there she was. And she wanted to see the children so that they can play with the dogs a bit in case they'd missed seeing them and missed playing with them. Sometimes, people are so silly and sometimes they're so thoughtful. I wanted to end on that high note of a thoughtful community member who had seen us around and wanted to make the children happy. If I shared this last week, I'm so sorry.